One is Celeste Davis, the founder and lead collaborator at Evolve the Com.
And I'm Hallie Russell. I am the Vice President of Client Relations, Operations, all the things.
All the things. So today we were talking a little bit about why or how or when to speak up at work, especially because I think often in the workplace, there are people who are like, I never want to speak up. I'm afraid to speak up. And then there are other people who are speaking up so much that people stop listening to them and maybe stop even respecting the things that they're saying because they're not prescient of when is the right time to communicate and when is the right time to listen. And so we kind of wanted to throw it out there as a conversation of, when are those moments happening? So Hallie, can you think of a moment when this happened to you where maybe either you were afraid to speak up at work or you felt uncomfortable or not safe speaking up? Like what was the vibe?
Yeah, absolutely. I think sometimes in certain work situations in the past, I've been asked for my feedback or my thoughts. And if my thoughts aren't always positive about said subject or said person, I thought in my head, I probably shouldn't speak up here, right? Because this isn't the time or the place to have the conversations I'm wanting to. So I'm hesitant to speak up, right? Thinking I need to plan ahead for a really hard conversation. So that was just one example I had where I self-limited and maybe just made small talk.
Yep. Okay. All right. Thank you. I'm gonna kind of run with that. So we just did another episode on difficult conversations and kind of how to initiate those. So that's another piece if you want to go to that link and watch that video. But when it comes to do I speak up in this moment? Maybe I don't have the most positive thing to say. There are kind of two things. One, I don't love being put on the spot. I'm not great at like, hey Celeste, what do you think of this? Unless I already have all the research in front of me and I've already formulated something. So it became really important for me one time with a leader I was working with to say, you know what? I appreciate that you believe in me and my brain being able to think all that through. But when you call on me in meetings and I haven't researched that topic, I feel really put on the spot. And this leader was kind enough to say, well, then just tell me or say in the meeting, like, I need to do more research on that. And I was like, oh, duh.
Yeah.
Why didn't? So it is okay. In fact, it's really empowering to call it when you're not the expert in the room or you're the person that's like, I haven't given that as much thought as I'd like before I comment, right? Or to say something professional. It's also helpful if you don't have something positive to say. And it really depends if you're one-on-one with someone you're really comfortable with, or if you're in a meeting where it needs to be very kind of like tight and to the point, that's going to change this a little. But for the most part, we want to be able to say, I have thought about this and I'm a little nervous about sharing my opinion because it might cause a difficult conversation or it might not make everyone comfortable. Would anyone like me to wait? Or, and probably most people wouldn't say that because they're also afraid of speaking up. But giving the room the choice and making it possible to say, I'm a little uncomfortable because I'm afraid this might come back on me and leaving it. And usually someone will say, wow, thank you. Or they might feel uncomfortable. And so they just let it go. Or they might say, well, thank you for saying that, but we really need to know this. Will you please? And so it gives other people the opportunity to kind of probe. And I always like to think, you and I talk about, selling. Is it a push or is it a pull? I'm a big fan of the pull, but sometimes we have to probe so that people will come to us. And we have to know what that right balance is. And I would say it's an art and a science. You have to really know your audience, but it's okay to be honest. And honest might be, I don't know enough about this topic to speak clearly on it. May I come back to you? What's our timeline? When could I come back to you on this?
Yeah, I think that's great.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, and I think it's important to pause when you have to pause.
Yeah.
Stop when you should stop and go when with conversations. Speak up, don't speak up, but just give yourself even that 2-3 second pause to check yourself. Should I continue? Should I stop? Should I pause? So I think that's great advice as well from you. And also on our website, I'm sure they can find more info. You can contact us through our website, evolvethecom.com.
Yeah, Hallie, I just want to tag along. Sorry, one thing you said that really interested me is that we're talking about giving yourself the courage to speak up, but that 2 to 3 second pause is so critical because there are people, and you might be one of them, who probably speaks up a little too much because you just like blurt everything out, and that doesn't help your credibility either. So taking that 2 to 3 second pause, whether it's because you're someone who's like, give me a minute, or whether you're like, give me a minute, let me figure out the most professional way to put this forward. So,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Love that.
Great. Well, we'll see you on tomorrow's episode. Thanks for joining us with evolvethecom.com.
See you tomorrow.
Bye.
Bye.